Evening, Facebook. How are you guys doing? I am Monique West, the president of the Greater Augusta Black Chamber of Commerce. As you can see, I have two lovely ladies with me tonight from Fifth Third Bank. Hi, Monique. Hi, Kiona. How you guys doing today?
We're doing great.
We're doing wonderful.
Make sure that we're live on Facebook before we get started. Just confirm that we have sound and everything, just to make sure everything's good. Yep, we are. I see us. So if you could go ahead and introduce yourself. Let's start with Monique Wynn first. If you could let everybody know who you are, what you do for Fifth Third Bank, and maybe just a little bit about yourself and what you're going to talk to us about tonight.
I will. My name is Monique Wynn. I'm the retail district manager here in the Augusta area. We have three Fifth Third locations here. I've been in banking. This is my 30th year, and I'm originally from Detroit. I've been doing financial literacy probably for 27 of those 30 years that I've been in banking. It's a passion for me, and I'm excited to be on Facebook Live. I don't think I've ever been on Facebook Live before.
Yes, get it to good old Monique. I will pull you guys to stream some way or another. Now, Kiona Peters, if you could let everybody know who you are and a little bit about yourself and what you'll be covering tonight.
Yes, ma'am. So good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Kiona Peters. I've been with Fifth Third Bank right about 6 years. I've been in banking and finance, a little less than Monique, right at 16 years. I have banking and finance experience. I am a Georgia peach, right around the corner from Augusta. I'm originally from Madison, Georgia, and I actually got into banking because I wanted to learn about money and wanted to build a generational wealth plan for my family. And so far, so good. So it's been interesting. I've learned a lot. I love sharing the information that I've learned. And if I can be a resource to anyone, I'm here to help. And today, we want to just share some tips with everything going on with the COVID-19 pandemic. Just want to share some tips around budgeting and savings and just different things to consider as you're making some financial choices with everything going on.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to talk Empower You tonight. So Empower You is, I think, tell the everybody that's viewing us right now, tell the viewers what Empower You is so they can understand what they're getting. So these are different sessions that Fifth Third offers. But I'm going to let Kiona kind of cover it a little bit better because she's the expert in this.
No problem. Empower You is actually our free financial literacy program. And we have 13 different courses that we've identified that some will actually impact your day-to-day life, where we're talking about boosting your credit score, financial checkup, and that's just an overview of your finances. We start very foundational level and then increase and scale up. We talk about credit reports, what that look like, the importance of credit reports, credit scores, the importance of paying your bills on time. And then also, if you have a lot of debt or just minimal debt, what that debt means to you. But then also looking at creating a plan of where you are today and what can happen for you, but to you and your family up through retirement. So it can actually be for those who are beginners in credit and then those that are kind of on those latter years of retirement. So we have a vast variety of those, and it's nothing to be intimidated about. I speak personally from as a testimony because this has actually helped me, and I actually go back and revisit those courses just as a refresher.
Okay. Awesome. So we're going to go right into it because we like to keep these sessions pretty short, about 30 minutes. We'll ask questions at the end. Also, Monique is on tonight because she's going to cover a little bit about the PPP. Bless you, Monique. About the PPP program, which I know a lot of small business owners want to hear about, and how Fifth Third is definitely serving the CSRA area. So we're excited to have you on there, or Augusta area. We're excited to have you on to discuss that with us. So let's get right into this conversation. I know, Kiona, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, and I'll be right here, but I will be turning off my video.
Okay. All right. So, and I'm bringing up the PowerPoint, and it should have budgeting and savings. You guys see that?
Yep, we can see you.
All righty. So feel free, ask questions, or either have questions placed in the chat. As I go through, I will speak slowly. That way no one misses any information, but feel free to take notes and or just put some information in the chat. That way we have questions in the end. I'll be more than glad to help with those. All right, so our first page, it doesn't want to tab. Oh, here we go. All right, we have a quick quiz. Monique, I know you know the answer to this. But what percentage of Americans have a budget? Now, I know a lot of people may not be speaking back to me right now, but each one of these heads actually represent 10%. So there's 10 bodies, which equal up to 100%. Now, most people will say 10%, 20%, when the actual answer is 30%, which for me, it was kind of a low number. However, in having conversations in person with clients, we do find out that a lot of families and a lot of individuals don't have budgets. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. I didn't have a budget because clearly my finances were all out of control. And it was an eye-opening experience for me to sit down and learn where my money was going, but also what bills I had coming in. I think that's a delay. All right. Next question. What percentage of married couples fight about money? Now, if you look on this, we only have three options. You have 40%, 50%, and 70%. I always get recommendations from participants and saying, hey, you should have D there as 100%, because at some point in time, I wouldn't say some people fight about it, but there is a long-term discussion around finances. But for this case, the answer is 70%. And why? Because at some point we have disagreements. No two people look at the same budget and have the same ideas or come up with the same process or same, I'm going to say the same thought process around what a budget should look like or what it should include and what bills to pay first. It is a team and collective effort as well as it's a compromise. The ultimate goal is to satisfy those bills and to pay them on time. All right, so we're going to do a budget breakdown. All right, now elements of a budget. Of course, here you see that we have three different sections here. I like to start at the very bottom, which you have savings and wealth. For myself, I know we get paid every 2 weeks, and I always take a look at my pay stub and look at the actual deposit into my accounts because I want to make sure that the deposits actually hit my account. Now, with that, number one thing on here is personal savings. Are you paying yourself first? And if you're not, that's fine. We all had to start from somewhere. I was one of those individuals as well. However, the ultimate goal is for you to start. That's whether you save $5 a week to $10 a week to $25 a month to $50 a month, whatever your household requires. And from there, you scale yourself up. Is now a good time for you to really be planning for retirement? My college days, that was nowhere near on my radar. Today, scaling up in those numbers, close to AARP days. So that is a critical item for me. So wealth savings, that's critical for me as well. Same thing. Well, right now, college savings is not a priority because I don't have extended family that I'm helping support for colleges, and I don't have any children. Next on the list, income, your salary. Are you paid monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever your income is, what do you actually receive as your net income? You always have to think net because that's your take-home pay. As I say, that's the my part of it. The actual gross, that's what I make. That's the initial overall payment of it. Do you receive a bonus? Do you receive it monthly, quarterly, annually? And if so, how do you spend that? I know for myself, for bonuses, I always try to put my bonus in my savings. As I say, out of sight, out of mind. Income on savings, some savings accounts, you actually receive dividends for those and payouts. If so, what do you do for that? Do you need all of it? If so, that's understandable. But can you make a 3, 6, or 9 month goal to where you're not relying on that extra income coming in? Now, this last one, this one can be seen as income and or expense. For this exercise, we have it as child support, and I'll talk about it for expenses, but child support, do you really want to consider that as income? I know a lot of families that do because they're dependent upon it. Now, if you're receiving it monthly and consistently, then, hooray for you. If you're not, that is something for you to strongly consider because are you relying on that money to make your rent or mortgage payment, your car payment, or buying your groceries? If that consistency is not there, you're really setting yourself up for failure. The number one thing about a budget is to do not overextend yourself and don't lie to yourself. That's the best advice I can give you. For expenses, of course, you have your mortgage and your rent. You need to pay to stay. Childcare, Some of that has changed right now because a lot of daycares and different schools and after school programs are actually closed because of the whole pandemic. So are you saving that money? And if you are, how much are you saving? Are your kids taking care of the smaller kids? Do you have family members taking care of the family members? Are you saving an extra 150, $75? One thing I did learn growing up, everything is negotiable. So, and what I mean by that, if you were paying out 400 a month, is there any type of wiggle room to where you can pay 250, maybe 300? Can you cut some costs on that? Car payments. From a budget standpoint, and I'll just throw this in real quick. In regards to COVID-19, the number one thing I can tell you if you're having some income issues and payment issues is to call the bank and call your creditors. For your car payment, call the creditor and see what the options are. You want to be proactive versus reactive because the last thing you want to do is have pressure placed on you and have your back against the wall, need to make that payment, but you don't have the funds. So just ask. And it may be, hey, you don't need it today, but 30 days from now, you may need it. So I would just say do the homework or what we call the pre-work, write the notes down. That way, hey, I may be able to waive two payments or have two payments placed at the back of the loan. That way it frees me up until a June payment. That's a heavy breather. I know for myself, I have a car payment. So far, so good, but you better believe I know my options right now. Food and clothing. Clothing is not a concern today for me. And that's just because I work remote. If you're still going into the office and wearing suits or casual wear, are you going to the cleaners? Are you wearing it once or twice before you go to the cleaners? We're not smelling you every day, but are you being creative and thinking outside the box with that? For food, if you have children, large family at home, or just some growing teens, are you finding yourself going to the grocery store every week, once a week, or I'm sorry, every week or every other week? Are you shopping at some of the Costco's, the Sam's? Are you stocking your shelves? Consider that. Charity donations, that is discretionary, of course. I tell you, just be careful with that, but always plan ahead. I do know some that have lived off of 25, 30 bucks a month. I'm sorry, 20 to $35 per week. And however you make it work, make it work. I just say, please be realistic about your numbers because I don't have a lot of people I can pick up the phone and call and say, hey, may I borrow or may I have? Typically, most people want to say, oh, you can borrow, not if you can have. All right, take an account. This is where it really gets good. Where is your money coming from? There's a lot of information on here, but to break this down really easy, please review your most recent pay stubs. Take a look at your money. Even though you were working 40 hours a week and now you're down to 20 hours a week, take a look at it because you have to face the harsh reality of where you are. The last thing you need to do, of course, is to lie to yourself. Hey, I was grossing 400. Well, today you're grossing 200. Now what are we doing for that extra $200 that's not there? Or that extra 100 or that extra 75 or whatever the case may be. That money has to come from somewhere. Calculate what your real take home pay is. So if you were grossing 400 and bringing in 275 and now you're grossing 200, are you bringing in 100, 175 or 50? What are you bringing in? Because you may need to make some adjustments there. Of course, your gross income minus your payroll taxes, that's your after-tax income. You don't have to include all the additional insurance premiums, 401k and stock purchases. The biggest thing is looking at your gross and also looking at your net. But if you need to scale up or down, take a look at that. 200 gross versus 400 gross is really, really that's 50%. That's half of your money. If you have additional sources of income coming in, like we have child support here and investment income, is it consistent? And what are you doing with that? Can you utilize that in a different manner right now? We're in a season change to where it's about to get warm. So now we're looking at AC. I don't know a lot of people that are opening their windows and putting fans in them. So how are you going to cool off, especially if you have children or elderly that's staying at home with you because the temperature will rise. We're in Georgia. So just being realistic with yourself, but also setting aside those additional sources of income. Next one, again, where's your money going? You want to try to capture 75% of your expenses, which are the requirements. Back on that main page, your mortgage, your rent, Your utilities, same thing. Call your utility companies and work out a payment plan. I know several utility companies that do offer a budget plan. I want to say a few weeks ago, I heard there was a mandate that different electric companies and utility companies were not shutting any power or electricity off or gas off for the next, I want to say there was a 30 or a 60-day moratorium. I can't remember the exact details. Take your bills, call them. Take a moment, get to yourself in your quiet space, whether it's in the cars, in the bathroom, your bedroom, just to take time to take a look through your bills and make sure you see where you can cut costs and where we say trim fat where you can. Um, you want to review the last 2 to 3 months history. Why? You want to better gauge as to what have you been averaging paying out every month. So if your utilities are costing you 200 a month and now you're grossing 200 a week, that's 50% of your money that's gone still. Easy math. You were grossing 800 a month. Now you're barely grossing 600. I'm sorry. You were grossing 1600 a month. Now you're grossing 800 a month. So over half of your money is gone now. How are you budgeting that? Take a look at what you can trim back on. Is it the utilities? Is it the car payment? Is it the car insurance? Is it the credit card? Everyone has a negotiable offer, an opportunity. It's all in how you approach it. Please call when you are calm, when you've had, some time to get home and digress to where you're not anxious, you're not stressed with anxiety, because the better conversation you can have, the better understanding we can have on the receiving end when you're calling us, letting us know, hey, Mrs. Peters, Mrs. Wynn, my income has been cut by 50%. I just can't afford to pay this, and offer something such as, my utility bill is 200. Realistically, right now, I need to pay $75, $80 a month, whatever that magic number is for you. Offer something versus I just can't pay y'all and I'm not paying you. That's not being realistic. Export your history from your online banking. Take a look at your money on your bank account. You have online banking now more than ever. Take a look at it. Log on, look at those numbers. If it's $3, if it's $30, if it's $300, take a look at those numbers and see where your money is going. Do you need to trim back the TV programming? Again, do we need to scale back some of the utilities? Where is it that you need to trim back? Your credit card payments, do you need to call and ask for your payments to be moved 30 to 60 days from now? Just being proactive on these items. And then think of large expenses. Property taxes have not come up yet unless you owe for 2019. If you do, now's a good time to call to see if you can set up a payment arrangement. Typically, most taxes are due anywhere between, I want to say, August through the end of the year. If you are due for 2019, call the tax office and see what you can actually work on. Back to school items, we're not there yet. With kids being out of school as early as mid-March, you may have a lot of supplies left over. How much of your money is staying? How much are you saving each month? If you're at zero, that's understandable. We're not here to actually judge you. It is for you to start. Start now more than ever. As I like to say, out of sight, out of mind. I actually have hid my savings account online to where I look at it to make sure the money goes in there every 2 weeks as far as a deposit. And then I hide it from myself online so that way I don't touch it. Because sometimes you see it and you have this urge or this itch. You're looking at Amazon and want to buy something, or you're online and just see something with the latest linen or whatever is coming out. Do you really need that now, or do you need to actually just scale your money for the next 3 to 6 months to see how long this whole pandemic and your work situation may happen? Start by reviewing your bank accounts and financial accounts. We talked about that earlier. Log onto your apps, because what if your banking hours are not convenient with your work hours? Know where your money is. If you've been convenient, if you've come to a norm where you go by the bank, every week, that's fine. But call ahead. That way you can have a set appointment. Hey, Mrs. Wynn, I need to come in and see you. I need to understand what's going on with my account. I'm having certain issues, or I'm not savvy on my phone. Can you show me this whole internet banking thing? I need to figure this out, because with the internet banking, you can set up alerts. So if your accounts get low, if you're under 25, anytime I spend over $25, I get an alert on my phone. And that's just to warn me of, hey, you only have 25 more dollars in that account. because once I spend it, it's gone unless I ask my spouse to loan me. And he asks for a loan, he don't just give. So, and it's also, it's you make it game friendly, but then it's also keeping you in mind and in touch with how much income you have. Again, review your paycheck. How much are you saving for retirement? If you're not there, that's understandable. If you are there, if your original plan was a year, 3 years, are you looking at 3.5, 4 years now because of what's going on if you're impacted today? And then also find out about your company's stock purchase plan. Does your company offer the first 4%, 6% up front? Just what the terms are, because that can tremendously help you. All right, this here is an actual, excuse me, a sample copy of our budget. And on here, you'll see, of course, the 2 columns. And then on the 2 columns, there are 2 different lines on each section. So under household, you have the rent mortgage, and you have the $ there. That number, we want you to actually place your current monthly mortgage or rent payment amount. The column to the far right, that's where you can negotiate as far as, can you lower it, or is your lease scheduled to be, renewed here in the next couple of months to where your payment may go up another 3 to 5%, which is normal. But you want to look at where you are now with the $, and then the far right, that's if you can, as we say, if you can change or looking at changing those numbers, what does that look like? Because at the end of doing this actual budget, there's a current budget today, and then there's a forecasted budget. And that forecast budget can be 30, 60, 90 days from now. You can make it into whatever you want. And we have the same information online at 53, the number 5, the number 3.com. And it's under calculator. All right, realigning. So now we identified the elements of a budget. We took a look at a few things. Here are some recommendations that we have. We call it our 50-30-20 budget. Excuse me. 50% of your budget should be needs. 30% should be wants. 20% of that should be savings. Now, this kind of moves around for me. The 20% I like, believe it or not, even working in banking, I've had to make adjustments. There have been times I've been up to 30%. Then there have been times I've been at 5%. This is non-judgmental. It's all in how your household works and how your income and everything flows through your household. Be realistic with yourself. Needs versus wants are critical. A lot of times we see those wants are 80%. Those needs are 20%, and there is no such thing as savings. And again, like now, I don't know how many people really anticipated this whole COVID-19 taking the impact that it's doing or that it's having, and the time period. It has really impacted a lot of people that I know on a day-to-day basis. And then also for myself, we're always trying to think ahead and plan ahead. And then some days it is, we're not going to the grocery store this week. We are going to get creative with dinner, and we're going to make dinner last 2 to 3 days, not cooking dinner every day. That's not being realistic in my household. 50% needs. Needs we look at and identify as living expenses. Again, we talked about the housing piece, utilities, transportation, food, and insurance. Some college students or some families, you divvy up some of the bills. You don't have all of these bills per se. If that's the case, then how are you all as collectively as a team? How are you working that out now? Typically, the housing stays about the same unless it's, again, your lease or your payments going up on your housing piece. The utilities, now because people are home more, are your utilities going up? I'm seeing an increase on them as well, but I'm also being creative. We're not turning the heater on unless we absolutely have to, or we have on flannel pajamas. And then even on our warm days, do you turn the fan on? Do you flip the blinds a different way? You get real creative because our electric bill tends to be kind of high. Transportation costs. I'm saving money right now on gas because I normally drive a lot and be in the field when it comes to my role. But also by me staying at home now, that's money I save on the transportation costs. And I can tell you my gas costs ran anywhere from $250 up per month. So that's easy save. However, that food and refrigerator, that's something that I'm being scarce about. So the $250, my goal is to save at least $200 of that money every month. Insurance Everything is negotiable. See what you can work out because now you're not putting so many miles in your car if you're driving. Um, just what are some options for you? Life insurance and all those typically stay the same for now. Contracts, we talked about the credit card minimum, child support, cell phone. I know some child support, some people, male and female, have called to see if they can work out something because their hours are cut. And if that's the case, then the parent on the receiving end, they need to make adjustments as well. If you were paying $100 a week and now you're down to $25 a week, and that's a lot of money. You're going from 400 to down to 100. That's quite a bit of money, and you need to make adjustments. Cell phone, are there options out there? I've seen some online. Same thing. Look online and then call them. You want to look online because at least you have a starting point of comparison. Because if you call your cell phone provider and they say, "Oh, well, we don't have anything," and you're locked in, okay, well, I see this online at such and such, company, they're offering XYZ. Offer and keep in mind to let them know if you've been a long-term customer. Wants, 30%. You want to be very clear about your wants. For myself, luckily, my husband and I did not pay for our vacation. And we were scheduled to pay for our vacation in full March the 6th. And we decided to wait because we needed a repair on my husband's car. Thank goodness, because it would have been thousands of dollars. That's money now that we're living off of and in our savings. And not sure if we'll have a vacation this year. We'll get real creative in the backyard and at home or locally. Gifts are zero right now. And that's just being very creative as to, we're being very transparent. We're not spending any excess money. We're not shopping. We're not dining out. I did make a trip to go get a milkshake the other day. I just had a craving for a milkshake. But that's as far as the dining out went. Same thing with him. We're very conscious about what we spend because we don't know how long this is gonna, wait. Needs versus want, they do overlap. If those are some things that you actually need, then just be clear about it. I like to get my hair done every 2 weeks. That has been, non-existence right now. So I'm being very creative at home. I'm used to having color in my hair, and I have different things covered up right now. But it's okay. You make do and you get real creative at home. Basic service can be a need. Features can fall under wants. Just have the conversation. My spouse loves to get his hair cut every week. That's been a no-go. So he's learning to let me fade him a little bit. It's been okay. It's been okay. Again, 20% for savings. Build savings. I cannot stress enough. If you have to start at $5, in which I did, it was years ago, but I started saving $5 every week. And then after a month, I scaled myself up to 10. Now, do not be fooled. I had to fall back a few times and go from 10 to 5, 10 to 0, because I had an old car. It was, as I say, it was a hoopty. It needed AC repairs, car repairs. I needed that money. So guess what? What I did was project myself where, okay, versus me saving $40 this month, that means that I need to save $80 the next month. And that meant, well, you know what? Do I need to work longer hours or do I just need to scale back? And what I did was scale back on some of the groceries just to put that money back in there because I held myself accountable. It was a lot of pressure, but once you start to see yourself reach those small goals, 5 scale up to 10, goes to 20, 20 make 50. I mean, those numbers start to grow and there's nothing like those zeros and commas. Create you an emergency fund. College fund is just as important for me. That's not on my radar right now. It was years ago, but that's just because of my household and the way it's set up. Emergency fund is critical today. Cash is still king. Having an emergency fund of at least 6 months for me. I know some that only do 3 months of total household monthly bills. So if your monthly bills are $1,500 a month, you need to have half of that saved up of 6 months. Placed somewhere safe, and typically it's not a mattress, because if the apartment and house catch on fire, then it's out of sight, out of mind. We don't see it. Reduce your consumer debt. Overall, if you were paying more on your credit card payments, then if you need the cash, then you just make your minimum payment. But the main thing is continue to make it on time and or call for forbearance or payment plan. extra mortgage payment. I've done that quite a bit, and that's just to pay down my mortgage. If I was selling my home, I would not be interested in doing that. I'm holding on to my cash. Let's let the equity build, let's save it, and then we're moving on. But it's totally up to you and how things work in your household. Evaluate expenses, your mortgage expense. Could now be a great time for you to refinance. Rates are at an all-time low. I will tell you, take advantage of it. Call Monique and her team and find out what your options are. You would be amazed. Saving 100, plus dollars or more a month could be critical for you. And then who knows, if it's been a while, if it's been more than 2 years, you really could possibly save a lot more money. I mean, just given the equity and just what your household bills look like. And speaking with Monique and team, you can learn more about the rates. Do you want to keep the rate the same? Do you want to extend it back to 30 years or go shorter? 15 years makes sense for you. And I've seen some numbers today, and those rates look pretty good. How else can you save money on mortgage? Again, making an extra principal monthly, extra principal payment. You can do that. I'm a round number person, so I do like to round up. Eliminate PMI. If you do have PMI, call Monique and the team and find out, you have your current mortgage with Fifth Third and or another lender. Call and find out, hey, do I have PMI? And also look for yourself before you call. Open your mail or log online and look to see if you have PMI. And if you do have it, how long or when should it fall off? Because when I initially had mine, I think it was $118 a month. And you better believe I marked all the way out 3 years that it should be gone. And that $118 added up, and I couldn't wait for it to get here. And when it did, I politely picked up the phone, called my lender, and they were like, "Oh no, we don't think you're there yet." "Oh yes, I can prove it." And I ended up, getting it taken care of. It's something that you have to stay on top of. Fuel cost. Well, this I know for Atlanta traffic, and then just even your traffic going back and forth, even on the weekends and back and forth to work. Here's some proven tips that have been tested that can help you as far as fuel costs. I mean, now gas is at an all-time low. I think I've only filled my tank twice since March 10th. So that tells you when I was normally filling my tank at least twice a week. So I'm saving quite a bit. You also should I'm going to jump down to using cruise control. I don't like cruise control, but I'm learning to use it more. Looking at lowering highway speeds, the excessive idling and easy acceleration. Don't just go in and max the gas, ease onto the gas, as we say. Other suggestions, air conditioning versus windows. I'm not there yet, but I'm learning. I had the hoopty days of no air conditioning, so I'm a little spoiled now with the AC. Tire pressure and carpooling, that has helped in the past. I've actually taken rides with my spouse if he lets me join him some days to save on gas. Car installment plans, call, understand your current rate and term. Find out if your company has different programs and different specials going on. Call the bank, ask us about different rates and discounts that we have. Insurance, call, find out what your current insurance premium is, and then maybe call one or two to find out what they're offering right now, especially with what's going on. You want to shop at least one provider to compare costs, and then always ask for discounts, family discounts, discounts on multiple cars, security systems, if you're a veteran. So utilities, same thing. You have programmable thermostat. I use that. We have ceiling fans, the lighting, of course, the fluorescent lights. They're a little costly, but they're efficient. Some people have solar panels. I would love to have those. I'm not there yet. Replacing some old appliances with energy efficient. I've done that in the past. Hot water heating. Consider adjusting the water temperature. I did purchase a hot water heater jacket. I want to say it was like maybe $60. That has helped as well. I can see about a $25 difference on that. And my water normally averages about 50, $55. If you have a well, hey, great for you. I wish I was you. Groceries, I do take a list. I'm a coupon person as well. I build a list. I like store brands, but my spouse doesn't, but he eats what comes through here. Check unit prices. Bigger is not always cheaper, and that's for us unless there's certain like snacks or something that we like. Wholesale clubs are good for many items. And then again, we talked about the coupons and discount cards. If you're a veteran, you're elderly, ask about different discounts. Anytime I take my mom out, she would always ask, "You have a senior citizen discount?" And I'm like, "Right on, mom, ask." So And with that, that's the end of my presentation. I hope you all learned something and have some tidbits.
Thank
And
you.
Ronnie, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Kiona, for that. Now, for all the people that are live right now, do you guys have any questions before we turn over to Monique, who's going to cover a couple topics for us? So I think I just want to see you can go ahead and drop your questions or comments in the live video. I do see the comments. If you do have any comments or questions, go ahead and drop them down. I can ask Miss Kiona Peters for any other questions on budgeting and saving and money. Now, Monique, I think you have a slide to share with us, or are you just going to go into the PPP?
I don't have the slide. I can actually go over the 7 tips that I do have. So
Okay.
thank you, Kiona, for talking about the budget and the savings. And I can tell you that with this pandemic, I think it has put a whole new perspective on budgeting. I'm sure a lot of us are thinking, I wish I had a stuck to the budget and the savings like I should have, because some of us wouldn't be in the predicament that we're in now. However, there are 7 tips that I'd like to share with you. Thank you. In reference to the COVID-19 pandemic. So the first thing is keep your money in the bank. With FDI insurance, your bank remains the safest place for your money, and also make sure that you are monitoring. If you have online banking, make sure you are checking your account on a regular basis. Fraud is very prevalent right now, and so it's very important that you're checking to make sure that what's coming out of your account is what you have coming out and not what somebody else has started coming in to be withdrawn from your account. And also know your credit score. That's very important that you know your credit score. That's another module that hopefully we'll do live as well. But you should always know your credit score, your current credit score. Number 2, act in the event of a financial hardship. Prioritize necessary and discretionary spending. Kiona did talk about that, how you can save in different areas, credit cards, loans, mortgages, the whole 9 yards. One thing I will say is that most banks, as far as I know, do have different programs where you can put your mortgage payment to the back, your car payment to the end of the loan, but get familiar with what that means. If it's something that you don't really need to do, and you're an essential worker still getting paid and you can't afford to make those payments, my suggestion would be to make those payments and don't just put it to the back because you can, unless you want to pay that extra interest, because it's not free. It's free as in fee wise, but at the end of the day, when you go to pay that loan off and it gets put to the back of that loan, you are just because you're not making that payment every month does not mean you're not being charged interest. So interest is accrued on those amounts. And so if you can, my suggestion would be to pay it. But there are certain circumstances when I know that some of us can't. And so just be careful when you step into and make sure that you understand the different options that you have available. Protect your identity. Always use strong passwords and be aware of scammers. I'm using that COVID-19 to run in-person and online scams. We're seeing a lot of it, especially with most of the banks having just the drive-throughs open. And so be really, really careful that you're protecting yourself as far as scams go. Save for emergencies. Divert entertainment. She talked about that as well. Make sure that the money that you're saving, that you're putting into an emergency fund. And of course, the first thing you want to do is aim at saving that $1,000. And then from that point, 90 days and then up to 180 days of expenses saved in your savings account. Again, this COVID-19 pandemic has put a whole nother perspective on saving and budgeting. So I really hope that you're getting something from these presentations that we have. Avoid playing the market. I am not licensed to talk about any investments, but what I can tell you that is if your 401k is long-term and you don't plan to retire in the next year or so, just leave it alone. I just have to not look at it, because when I look at it, I think it makes me sick to my stomach. But in order for you to regain what you've lost, you have to leave it there. So if it's long-term, this is not the time to move it. It's the time to leave it there. Financially educate your kids. Use this time at home, home learning and taking advantage of free online financial education, courses on saving and budgeting, and teach your children how to save. I think, as a matter of fact, with all this pandemic, we didn't really get to teach your children to save, but we do partner with the ABA, and this is Teach Your Children to Save Month. However, with kids being out of school, we weren't able to go out and teach that program, but they do have online, and it's notated here, Everify and Teach Children to Save. If you go out online, you can see that as well. But they need to learn as well, and at an early age. And so it's not too soon to get your child a savings account and start them early. I did it, and I can tell you that it has helped. It has certainly helped. So practice self-care. Financial stress impacts not only financial well-being, but also physical and mental health. And take time during remote work and education to things you enjoy in order to decompress. So practice self-care. That's one of the last tips. But I did want to kind of put out there, if anybody had any questions, switching a little bit to the small business side, with this being the chamber. One thing
before you do that, Monique, real quick, we did have a question from Christopher Mullins.
Okay.
Will we be able to get a copy of the budget sheet? Now, Kiona, will I be able to get an electronic copy to send out?
Yes, ma'am. I'll send it to you right after the meeting.
Okay, awesome. So I'll stop sharing and I'll turn it back over to you, Monique.
Okay. And it's just a little tidbit, but I don't know how many of the small businesses that are listening, have applied for the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Plan. I know there's been a lot of questions around it. I know you had someone on not long ago speaking of it. If you have any questions, if I can possibly answer them. But one thing I will tell you, that if you are a small business and you have applied for it, one thing that I think all small businesses need to know is that if you have applied, it's your duty to call that bank that you applied with and find out if you got an E-Tran number. And an E-Tran number is nothing more than the account number that SBA has issued. And basically, if you have an E-Tran number, that just means that your money is spoken for. You know that it will be funded. You're fine. You don't have to worry about doing anything else. It will go directly into the account that you put on the application. So I don't know if you have any questions out there, Ronique. If you do have any further questions and you don't want to put them on here, I would refer you to sba.gov. I know they have a chat and they have a phone number that you can call to see if you do qualify for the PPP program. And if there's no questions out there, I'll turn it back over to you, Ronique.
All right. Thank you so much, ladies. This was awesome. I know April's Financial Literacy Month, so we wanted to make sure we had our Empower You sessions that we had planned with Fifth Third already. We just turned them into virtual sessions. So we'll have this one virtually, and then May, we have another one coming up in May that will be virtual as well. We'll do Facebook Live again. As well as I want to get guys to let you know that Financial Literacy Month is going on, and we have a live that Leah Abney, our VP of Business Affairs, will be doing next Thursday. So make sure you catch her live on Facebook too. And we're also doing a gift card for members. So we have had some new members join the chamber. We do officially have our monthly membership up. So some people have been joining. So you will be put into the raffle. So we will be giving away money while we're in quarantine. We're planning that for the next 3 months, regardless of if we're out of quarantine or not. We will be doing that throughout the month of June. So I wanted you guys to know that. That's good information, Monique, to know. I didn't hear about the E-Tran number. So again, if you applied, or a small business that you know applied for the Paycheck Protection Program, I always try to say PPP. I want to make sure that's the tongue twister sometime, that you be sure that you call the bank that you applied with and ask them for the E-Tran number. We did get another question for the PPP, Monique, real quick, from Christopher Mullins. He wants to know, how does the PPP work for nonprofits, or do you have any information on that, if they do work?
I do not. I don't. The only thing I can tell him to do is go to sba.gov, and there is a separate section for his question. Mm-hmm. But it's just a limited amount that you know, that I can talk about, and that's not one of them, because I don't want to give any information that I'm, you know, that I'm not fully aware of.
Right. And so I think also, Chris, you want to go watch our live from I think it's about a couple weeks ago. He covered all of that. So, and it did definitely show you who qualifies and not. So you definitely want to go watch the live, and that's up on our YouTube channel. So if you guys missed that live, hopefully you have joined the Chamber's email list. We did send out an email earlier this morning that actually had the link directly to YouTube. So you want to go ahead and watch that live. There's a lot of great information in there. Austin covered that program and all the programs really in detail. So take the time to watch it, because guys, we're pretty sure that somewhere it will be funded again. So I'm pretty certain. So you want to make sure you understand where you need to cross your I's, dot your T's, where you need to send the money, your applications into, and how to get access to the loans if you're looking to get the loans. So there's a lot of moving pieces, but go ahead and take the time to watch it if you're a small business owner or entrepreneur, because it does cover for-profits and non-for-profits as well. That's all the information I think I have. I want to make sure I got all my housekeeping out the way. I did. So ladies, I thank you for this evening. We're really short and sweet. If you guys have any other questions, please drop them in the comments below. Monique and Kiona will be back with us next month. What is the topic next month? I can't remember, guys. You guys recall?
I think we put on there, boost your credit score.
Yep, boost your credit score. So that's going to be a good one. So you want to definitely get a hold of this one. Also, I want to encourage you guys, if there's anything that you picked up during the quarantine, or any type of new skills, or even new ways that you're kind of like saving and this, that, and other, I'm going to encourage you to keep them up, even when we get out of quarantine. So that's one thing I've been kind of saying through all the lives I've been doing during the month of April. I want to encourage you to keep them up, because this is going to really help you long term. So that's all I have. Anything
if it's okay, I just wanted to say, if anybody has any further questions that they haven't asked on live, if you want to reach me Monday through Thursday from 9 to 5 and Friday from 9 to 6, my direct number is 706-220-1266, and I'll be happy to assist you.
All right, thank you. Kiona, any other last thoughts or questions? Or?
No, just want to say thank you all for joining, and we appreciate you running for the opportunity. Thank you, Monique, for your expertise and always having my back. But we're a collective team in Augusta. This is part one. We will push through this, and on the other side is greatness. So let's just keep going forward. And thank you.
All right.
Thank you, ladies. You're always great partners with the Chamber. I look forward to, of course, a continued long-term partnership as we have been since day one. And thank you, and everybody have a good evening.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.